All right, let me check the audio. Okay, audio is working. Sweet. All right. Today we got a property, 1124 50th Street, Ensley in Birmingham, Alabama, 35208. This property is slightly close to a property I already have in Fairfield. This area is usually crime score is going to be high, so you gotta have to look at this stuff like street by street. Usually you can kind of gauge the neighborhood just by looking at the streets. Now this is not a overall generalization, but I kind of like being up on a hill because usually sometimes there's less trouble on top of hills. Yeah, this neighborhood doesn't look that bad at all. So all right, let's look at some photos for this property. This is a 4-bed, 2-bath. Like that is a garage, so I can always add another bedroom. Looks like they just finished remodeling everything inside already. Okay, so if you're looking at a property in a new market and you don't want to manage entire rehab, this is essentially almost kind of ready to go. Let's see if there is. Oh, those like they renovated just recently. Last time it was bought was 1988. So, all right, let's go ahead and see whether or not this can be a deal. The first thing we want to do is we want to Google HUD FMR, HUD FMR. And when you're looking for FMRs, you're looking for the fair market rent, which is essentially the ceiling rents for this property. Now, this property was in what county was it in? Jefferson County. Jefferson County. Once you get to Jefferson County, you're able to see by zip code what the quote unquote market rent is, or the max market rent is for 35208. 35208. You can kind of see right here. The maximum rent for a 3-bed is $1,440, and the maximum rent for a 4-bed is $1,600. Now, I'm just going to write that down on my spreadsheet on the other screen really quick so I don't forget this and so I don't have to come back and refer to it again. And I want to note down 35208. And then I'm also do that for the 3-bed. All right, cool. So just note these two numbers here, right? This is a 4-bed, so you really care about the $1,600 number. All right. The next thing we want to do is we want to get the market rents. And if you go to the market rent estimator on affordablehousing.com, you go to the market rent estimator, you can plug in the address, you can plug in the bedroom count. You will see that, boom, right here, here's your rent for a 3-bed for 25 units within a 1.26 mile radius. When you go to the 4-beds, now you're able to see what the rent is. Now, see how this is 1468? That's the rental assumption that I'm going to use for this property, 1468. And even though what we saw on the prior page was 1600, right? You guys all saw that it was 1600 for the fair market rent for a 4-bedroom in 35208. The reason I'm going to use 1468 is because of the rent reasonableness test. The rent reasonableness test simply says the housing authority, even though the maximum rent, quote unquote, is higher than the market rent, you cannot charge the resident for more rent than what the market determines is fair. So if everybody for 25 units is all paying about 1468, then I'm just going to go on the error on the side of conservative and try to just use that as my rent. Now, is there upside to 1600? Yes, there is. But that could just be arbitrary. It could be based on amenities. And that's something that you want to try to figure out on your own for every single property. Okay. So now I got the market rent. Usually we go to tophap.com and we will get the crime score. But I already know this error because this is not the first time that I have analyzed the deal here. But just for the sake of consistency, let's go through the process together. Street North Birmingham, 50th Street North, 35208. I'm assuming this is it. I'll just grab the crime score really quick. Oh, whoops. Wrong. Is that all right? 35208. This is 35212. Ensley. Make sure I get that right. Oh, it kind of shifted automatically over to maybe affordablehousing.com knows that the rental property and they automatically shifted over to it. I'm going to assume it's the same, but always good to kind of double check the due diligence. All right, 120. That's kind of right where the other score was. So you kind of saw from the street view, and I already know this area. So this is not bad. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and grab the Excel spreadsheet. So now, all right, you guys all saw the existing condition of property. Does not appear that I even need to put in any paint because I'm assuming they just painted this whole place for this rehab. So I'm gonna assume everything's working. I might put some money for a water heater just in case, but let me stop sharing this screen. I'm gonna start sharing the Excel file with all of you now. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Now, for those of you that want to see the full screen version, you guys can go to youtube.com/@Kent_HE if you want to see the full screen version. As I'm pulling this spreadsheet up, you guys can always DM me with your email on Instagram @InvestWithKentHe, and just send me your email that you want me to send the spreadsheet to. I've been very, very fortunate and blessed that folks have provided me with their calculators, and I've been able to modify it so that it can fit what I need to do in order to underwrite for long-term rentals for Section 8 specifically on a single family side. All right, asking price $199,000. Let me get the property taxes right from the Redfin page. Usually I can get it right from the payment calculator, and it says $184 for property taxes on this property, and the insurance estimate is $154 equals $154. And I'm going to multiply that by 1.2 so I can make it 20% more expensive for this property just for contingency purposes. All right. Then what do we have for rent? Our rent is for this property is going to be $1,468, like we discussed earlier, $1,468. And I'm going to have 10% for my maintenance, 8% for my property management, and 3% for my vacancy on this property. Let's go through our rehab calculator. So usually I set aside some money for paint, but it does not look like this property needed any more painting on this property because it looks like it literally just got renovated and is being listed. So I'm going to leave aside some money for $1,500 for the roof just in case I can't see anything. I'm assuming the water heater works, but I'm just going to put in and leave that blank for now, assuming it's $2,400. So I still have $2,400 in case there is like the little minor things that kind of pop up. All right, at $1,468, do I want to put in a water heater? I didn't see anything there, but let me put in something for the termites just so I can be a little bit more conservative. So I'll leave $3,600 just in case there's something that was missed. All right, so right now I'm going to assume that the down payment is 25% for this property. And what is my loan? My loan is going to be 8.5% right now on this property. I'm assuming a DSCR loan with 25% down. Now, what does this equate to? When this kind of all comes together, this is now a negative 108.7. And that's probably because the amount just went up a lot higher. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so, well, what price can I afford to pay for this property? So let me start changing up. Well, let me write down a scenario first. So let's go through all these scenarios that we typically do. At $1,468, I'm assuming that's going to be my max rent. This is a negative 108, negative 2.2%. And my purchase price here is going to be $199,000. And I assume my rehab was $3,600. Very reasonable. All right. Well, now the first thing I want to do and how I would structure it is I would analyze and figure out what purchase price would this make it a deal. And I would like to make at least 17% on this deal. So come on, minus that 75 grand at 100 grand. It's still not a deal. What if I lowered? No, you can't lower the down payment if you do conventional. What if this was $80,000? Well, at $80,000, this is definitely a deal. So this would be a 15.5% cash and cash return, $1,468. So I can definitely do this deal at $330. Now, would they take a low ball offer at $80,000 when they listed it at $199? Probably not. But still good to kind of run through and know what my numbers are. All right. Well, let's see if I can get a creative finance deal on this property. Let's see if this property or this owner owns this property free and clear. Let me see if I can share the entire screen with all of you right now. So just Excel file. If I go to entire screen, let's see. Boom. Let me stop the camera so it does not lag. I want to plug in this address, prop stream. And the reason I'm plugging on a prop stream so that I can try to figure out whether there's underlying loan. There is an underlying. See how there isn't a section where it says mortgage and transaction history or anything like that? So that means this property is likely owned free and clear by the owner. So on this property, I'm going to just go through all the creative finance scenarios here to see what can make this a deal. So if they own it free and clear, right? And my goal is to make 15% on this property. Let's go back to $199,000, which is their listing price on this property. Okay. What if I only gave 10% down, but then my interest rate is 0%? Okay, well, now all of a sudden, this is now a 12.37%. So if I gave 10% down, so 1468 is still my rent. Let me kind of put this into the middle so you guys can kind of see all the scenarios coming through on Instagram. My cash flow per month on this deal is going to be 293. And my cash and cash return is 12.4. And my purchase price now is going to be $199,000 still. My rehab is still $3,600. My seller financing down payment is 10%, and I have a principal only, so 0% interest on this deal. I'm not sure to go for it, but at least you know what will work. Well, what if I gave them 5% down? Well, now all of a sudden it's a 17% return. That's a great, great deal if your seller ever decides to go for it. But you might have to negotiate it based off of the down payment example. What if I gave them a 2.5% interest rate? Yeah, it don't work. As soon as you throw in any interest in there, it just doesn't work. The rent's too low, too much money for the price. You don't see that many properties here for $200,000 in the Birmingham market. I usually see them about in the hundreds, like the low 100s. So at $265 a month, cash and cash return is 17.2 at $199,000. This would require the rehab to be $3,600, 5% down, and 0% interest rate. Yeah. If you go to does it even make sense to go half a point? Okay. I guess you could still make it work if you go half a point, I guess. And it still works because you have 5% down. But this is unlikely going to be a deal unless you can convince your owner to say, well, this is how much money you're getting in interest for the first 120 months. So let's see. And interest for the first 120 months, assuming you have a 10-year balloon, you would be paying another $8,000, even though the interest rate is only half a point. It's still $8,000 of interest. So really, the person is getting $207 instead of $199. So it just depends on how you want to present it to the seller. But this would probably be the only way I can possibly make it work. And if you like to say like, hey, I can make this deal at $8,000, it's going to be a very, very difficult conversation. So, all right. That's our analysis for today. Happy Friday, everybody. Again, if you guys want a copy of the spreadsheet, please just DM me at investwithkenthee with your email. This was not investment advice. This is not a solicitation for any investments. I'm simply showing off you what I do on a daily basis. That is not the coolest thing in the world. I'm just doing the work. I'm underwriting deals every single day so that we can all get better and so that we can all get super comfortable at analyzing deals every single day. When you build up these habits, you don't lose them. Right now, it feels weird if I ever even think about not analyzing a deal every single day. I used to do it every single day, but I never did it live. And now it feels weird I don't do it live. And you guys can all do this with me, doing the same properties, same spreadsheet, put it on your own YouTube channel. And I hope you guys are able to prove to yourselves that, one, you know what you're doing. And the next time someone asks you, why do you think this is a deal? You can point them to your YouTube channel where you have analyze over 100 deals with me. So if we do this for 100 days, we got this, guys. But my goal is like, hey, maybe we'll just keep it going after I'm past 100 days, and we'll just keep on going, because once you build the habit, you should not lose the habits that are great skill sets. All right. Have an amazing Friday. Have an amazing weekend for those of you that might not be tuning in, but I'll be back here again tomorrow. Talk to you tomorrow.